Bitcoin and Ethereum both had a big dip or crash. It's because of what Trump said. He said similar things to this before, where he has done stuff that led us to believe this is true, and now he's confirming it.
You said, look, we're going to have a disruption, but we're okay with that. Is that what you meant? The stock market going down was the disruption? What other disruptions were you alluding to?
Look, what I have to do is build a strong country. You can't really watch the stock market. If you look at China, they have a 100-year perspective. We have a quarter. We go by quarters. That's true.
Trump is not watching the stock market. He's watching the bond market. That's why if stocks tank, he doesn't care. When stocks tank like 12, 15%, then Bitcoin crashes 30-something%. This is a very easy logic to follow, whether you want to believe in that or not. He literally just said, you can't be watching the stock market if you're trying to build a great country. You can't be just watching like daily, oh, stock market reacted to this, stock market reacted to that. It went up today, it went down today. So they like what I did today and they didn't like what I did today. You can't watch that. You got to stop that. I'm trying to build a great country for the long term. He compared U.S. to China. He said China has these 100-year plans. U.S. goes by the quarter. Is the stock market up today, this week, this month, or this quarter? Whereas China doesn't care. Like if you look at the Chinese stock market, it's basically gone like this. It's just gone down and it's sideways at the bottom and now it's broken out. Elon has been saying the same thing, that the U.S. government right now doesn't really care about the stock market. They care about the bond market. Basically, the US government is about to go broke. They have to refinance $7 trillion in just the next 6 months. They collect $4.9 trillion, not even $5 trillion in taxes for the whole year. And Trump's about to do major tax cuts, so he might only collect $4 trillion or less. But he needs to borrow $7 trillion, not in the next year, but in the next 6 months. So of course, he's freaked out. Sure, he can borrow that, but at what rate? He probably has to borrow that as 4.2%, 4.5%, whatever. He wants to get that down to 3%. So that's why he's doing everything he can to get the US 10-year Treasury yield down. And people think he's going to create a recession, including myself. That's the US 10-year Treasury. Trump wants to pull off a miracle, a magic trick. And that magic trick is basically make the market believe we're going into a recession. When we go into a recession, the US Treasury 10-year yields fall. It can even go 2%, below 3%. We've had that before. This is only recently. During COVID, it was down to like 1%. Trump would love to do that, and he would be seen as a great president if he was able to finance $7 trillion of US government debt at 2% or 1%. But how do you bring 10-year yields down? Because if US 10-year Treasury yields go down that much, then usually there's a recession. So he's trying to pull off a miracle, creating expectations of a recession without actually getting a recession. It's if you're a high school kid and your dad wanted you to really do well at school, and he says, well, you know, if you do really well at school this year, I will buy you a car. And at the end of the year, he doesn't buy you a car, but you did really well at school. So he gave you an empty promise or a threat or a lure that made you do something, but in the end, he didn't deliver on it. Well, that's what he's trying to do here. He's threatened the bond market. We're going to have a recession. And the bond market is responding and lowering the yields. The yields have fallen. Trump has done his job. You can see here, yields have fallen. And he's threatening that by cutting a lot of government jobs, by doing all that stuff with the tariffs. But in the end, he hopes that we won't get a real recession. No one wants a real recession in the end. He just wants the rates, the yields to be lower. So it is a magic trick to make it look like and threaten a recession, get the 10-year yields lower, but without a real recession. So where does this whole crash end in the stock market and in crypto? Basically, it all depends on the stock market. Well, I've been saying Bitcoin's front running the crash in the stock market for a long time. Well, this chart is basically Bitcoin price for the last number of years, like 7 or 8 years. And the purple line and the red line are basically SPY, SP 500, NASDAQ, ETF. So you can see closely, Bitcoin basically tracks the tops and bottoms and tops and bottoms and tops in the stock market. When do we get the rebound? My thinking is it could actually kind of come at any time, but you just need someone to step in there to stop the stock market from falling. You either need the Federal Reserve, or you need the Treasury, or you need Trump. You need one of those 2 or 3 institutions or people to come out and say, we're going to step in and we're going to put a floor on this market. The Fed used to do that, but right now they want inflation to be lower, and they can't have inflation lower when the stock market is up near record highs all the time. So a correction, what they call a 10% pullback, or a bear market, what they call 20%, that's when stock prices go down. The stock indexes go down 20%. Is probably welcomed by some of those guys. Not sure exactly how Bitcoin would react in that kind of scenario. My guess, Bitcoin probably follows it down for another 1 or 2%, and then we get the bounce. And thank you guys for tuning in. I'll catch you guys for next episode.